Hey guys, welcome to the South Suburban Humane Society YouTube channel. My name is Haley and I'm the behavior coordinator there. This is a part 2 video to the Shy and Fearful Dogs video that I put out previously. That one was more focused on the stress signals they put out and a few activities to do with them to socialize and increase confidence. But this one is going to be focused more on when to actually push the boundaries because some of the dogs are going to need us to help them out of their comfort zone rather than them willingly doing so. So, the first most important thing that we can do is to meet their basic needs first and make their life really predictable. So, obviously, not everything is going to be 100%, but the more predictable they feel the environment around them is, the more comfortable they're going to get. Then, making sure that they have their food and their water and they know that it's going to be there every single day, giving them plenty of time outside, and then a comfy spot for them of their own. So, a bed or a crate, an airline carrier, or a room itself, just somewhere they can go to be alone and making sure that we actually allow them the time to spend alone. Obviously, we don't want them there 100% of the time or spending most of their time alone, but making sure that they have the opportunity to kind of recharge and relax a little bit is really important. So when we are handling them, it's important to keep things really neutral. So basically, you want to do only what you have to do. This is in the beginning when you're trying to get them to feel more comfortable and like there is a routine. It's important to kind of just make them feel like you're not that interested in them. It'll make them a lot more at ease and let them fall into a routine and feeling more comfortable a lot quicker. So if you do have to speak to them, do it sparingly, do it low and softly, but the less you talk to them, the better in the beginning because every time you say something, they're going to be kind of worried about what you're doing and they're not going to let their guard down as quickly. I also think it's really important that, especially skittish dogs, keep a drag leash on all the time. You just never know when you might need it, but it also, the less that you have to do stressful handling, like grabbing them and immobilizing them, holding them still so we can clip things to their harness or their collar, or looping them with a slip lead. Sometimes all of that interaction, the reaching over them and the grabbing and all of that can just be really stressful. So if we can eliminate having to do those at all over the first week or so, especially, it will make it a lot easier for them to bond with us and to end up feeling comfortable enough to socialize. Um, when they have the drag leash on, when you need to handle them or take them somewhere, especially if you're taking them outside, then you're able to just grab and go rather than having to do any of that stressful handling for them. So, when to actually push the boundaries is pretty tricky. It really depends on the individual dogs and how often their fear or stress will translate into aggression. But basically, when the dog no longer seems worried about your general presence, is when you want to actually start encouraging more socialization and having them seek out contact with you. It's obviously not going to happen overnight, but the more we can make it seem like a fun and positive thing for them, the quicker they will eventually come around. Um, so this is the canine ladder of aggression, and it's really helpful to kind of put a visual um, explanation of the stress signals that I talked about in the last video and the order that most dogs are going to display them before things actually turn into aggression. So it really starts with pretty subtle behaviors and just signals that they're pretty stressed out, and then goes into avoidance behaviors where they are actually trying to leave the situation. Some of these on the lower end are things that we will cautiously overlook in the beginning to kind of get the kind of break through the barriers that we need to break through to make them realize that contact with humans is not bad. Um, I would say that probably going up to them creeping around with their ears back, that's when I would start um, kind of backing off. But even at that point, if the dog is trying to creep away and I have them on a leash, I'm going to try and keep encouraging them to move closer to me. And if I have to, I can apply leash pressure. Um, but I'm always going to give them that option to kind of approach me, even just a little bit. Even if they just take a step towards me, I'm going to be happy with that. But I like to give them that option first before I start trying to actually encourage them more. But I always crouch down, and then I will tighten up the leash to the point where it's just taut enough so they can feel that there's just a little bit of pressure, but I'm not pulling them closer. And then I'll keep encouraging them. If they move closer to me, I'm not going to increase the leash pressure at all. And I'm going to kind of let that be a reward or an indicator that, hey, yeah, like this is good. This is something that you should keep doing. If you feel pretty comfortable, like you think that they probably would let you pet them, you can go ahead and try that at their neck, their chest, their shoulders, or if they're turned away from you, you can try like their back or their rear end. Um, you just want to make sure if that's the case that the dog does know that you are actually reaching out to pet them and that you're actually going to touch them. Otherwise, it might startle them and they could turn and snap. But as long as you make sure that they know and you feel comfortable about the situation, you can do so. You can also try something that's called a consent test. So that is when you pretty quickly touch them and then pull your hand back pretty immediately, so that you can gauge how they're reacting to being touched. You don't want to pet them and leave your hand there, because if you're already pulling your hand back and they react aggressively, you're already ahead of them in getting away. But then you know how they're going to react to being touched, or if you startled them or something like that. It kind of just gives you um, kind of a basis to go off of. And some dogs will actually, at this point, when you do pull your hand away, they may actually move towards you and start to seek out being touched again. And that is really amazing. And that's kind of what we want to work towards in the long run. So all of these, and then using the activities that I talked about in the last video, will definitely help a lot of dogs come around and actually enjoy socializing with humans. So I hope you guys found this video helpful and kind of made you feel more comfortable about pushing some boundaries and socializing some stressful dogs. Fostering is really great for shy and fearful dogs, and it can, in some cases, totally transform them. But in other cases, it just sets them up to live with a adopter and to go to their forever home.